Welcome to the Cinematic Flashbacks. Today we will talk about Zodiac. The film begins on July 4, 1969, with the Zodiac executioner's subsequent assault. In the wake of shooting Darlene Ferrin and Mike Mago at a Sweetheart's Path in Vallejo, the executioner calls 911 and reports his activities. Mago gets by while Ferrin passes on from her wounds. After 4 weeks, a letter composed by the Zodiac shows up at the San Francisco narrative. A scrambled letter is incorporated, as well as an interest that the paper distributes the letter, or the Zodiac will kill in the future. Comparative requests with various scrambled letters have likewise been shipped off the Vallejo Times and the San Francisco Analyst. Paul Avery, Robert Downey, Jr., a narrative wrongdoing columnist, before long starts to examine for the paper. The encoded letter grabs the attention of the narrative's political sketch artist, Robert Graysmith, Jake Gyllenhaal. At last, the encryption is broken by a set of experienced educators in Salinas, California. In any case, there are a few remaining letters that haven't been translated, and Graysmith starts attempting to sort them out, grabbing Avery's eye. Alongside the additional images is an image that Avery says looks like a firearm sight. The Zodiac executioner strikes again in September of 1969, defying and cutting Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard, Pell James, at Lake Berryessa in Napa Province. Shepard kicks the bucket because of the assault, while Hartnell makes do. Zodiac then sends another letter to the narrative, where he refers to man as the most perilous round of all. Robert flashes to the line, reviewing it as a line from a film, in light of a book called The Riskiest Game. Before long, a while later, San Francisco taxi driver Paul Stine is shot and killed in the city's Presidio levels locale. San Francisco police criminal investigators Dave Tuscai, Imprint Ruffalo, and his accomplice Bill Armstrong, Anthony Edwards, are relegated to the situation. However, the activities of the executioner, whom they don't know is the Zodiac at that point, appear to be confounding. It is not long after this that the narrative gets another Zodiac letter, with a piece of the taxi driver's ridiculous shirt. The Zodiac likewise states in the letter that he intends to go after city school transport. Tuscai and Armstrong before long end up liaising with different analysts like Jack Mulinox, Elias Cotillas, in Vallejo, and Ken Narlo, Donal Logue, in Napa, assessing the proof on Zodiac. While the SFPD had the option to get a halfway unique finger impression from the taxi crime location, Narlo tells how an officer unintentionally obliterated the Napa crime location. Nonetheless, they found wing walker boot prints on the ground, with the footwear simply ready to be bought with a tactical ID. Armstrong endeavor to get a meeting with Michael Mago, the overcomer of the Zodiac's subsequent killing, however is educated by Vallejo PD that he is presently not around. The different police divisions additionally end up attempting to speak with one another, considering that a significant part of the sending of material proof must be done solely through postal mail. In their own little discussions subsequently, Avery and Graysmith, as well as Tuscai and Armstrong, question the Zodiac's thought processes. The taxi driver is his most memorable killing that doesn't include a couple, leading the two gatherings of men to trust his attempting to break his example. Before long subsequently, the Zodiac, or somebody professing to be him, solicitations to call into an early morning television show and talk with big-name legal advisor Melvin Belli, Brian Cox. A profound-voiced man who goes by the name of Sam brings in. Giving Melvin's request to meet, Sam says to go to a congregation in Daly City. Melvin and the SFPD race to the scene, yet Sam is a flake out, and it is before long uncovered that the guest was somebody from a psychological establishment. Indeed, even Brian Hartnell, the overcomer of the Zodiac's third killing, affirms the voice doesn't have a place with the man he experienced at Lake Berryessa. Another letter before long shows up at the narrative, provoking the police, and including directions for making a hazardous gadget. It is after this that Avery and Greystone have a discussion about their advantage in the letters. Greystone makes sense of his preferring of riddles that made the test to address the Zodiac's codes fascinating. He likewise recounts various codes he found that were remembered for the letters, including one alluded to as the Zodiac letter set. Yet again the Zodiac sends a letter to Melvin Belli for Christmas of 1969, and through the spring and summer of 1970 sends various letters to the narrative, provoking the police, and guaranteeing liability regarding various episodes. The Annal before long chooses to quit distributing the letters, when Avery raises doubt about exactly the way in which honest the Zodiac is. Paul likewise trusts Graysmith that the firearm sight image on the letters seems to have been duplicated from the image for the Zodiac brand of watch. Avery composes various uncomplimentary tales about the Zodiac and is compensated for this with an individual letter from the Zodiac, alongside a piece of the taxi driver's horrendous shirt. Paul endeavors to figure out more about the Zodiac and meets with an undefined source in Riverside, California. From this, Avery accepts he has tracked down proof of the Zodiac's most memorable homicide casualty, originating before the 1969 shooting of Darlene Ferrin and Mike Mago. This sends Tusky and Armstrong to Riverside to research. The proof appears to be comparative, however they preclude it being a precise match to their executioner. Be that as it may, Paul Avery's accounts persuade a lot regarding the review public, goading Tusky. Before long, Avery's article carries a wide range of individuals to Tusky and the SFPD, a large number of them professing to know the Zodiac's character. Of the relative multitude of meetings, one about a man named Arthur Lee Allen, John Carroll Lynch, sounds exceptionally encouraging. Tusky, Armstrong, and Mulinox then go to address Arthur, however it turns out to be nothing concrete. They interview a few of Arthur's family, who turn over penmanship tests for review. In any case, penmanship master Sherwood Morrill's survey of the letters shows no associations. At last, Tusky is let by Arthur's family know that he has moved to St. Nick Rosa. A warrant is given by the St. Nick Rosa PD, and Tusky and Armstrong search Arthur's trailer. They track down various weapons, and before long defy Arthur when he gets back. Notwithstanding, subsequent to getting another penmanship test and checking his prints, none of Arthur's matches any of the data on record for Zodiac, goading Tusky that his best lead didn't work out. Attempting to loosen up, Tusky and his significant other go to see the film Messy Harry. After it closes, Tusky meets Graysmith in the anteroom. Robert guarantees Tusky that he'll get the Zodiac, yet Tusky appears to be exceptionally uncertain. After 4 years, it is 1975. In that time, Graysmith has remarried, and has restarted having a family. Paul Avery, in the interim, has had his mental stability experience a plunge, stopping the narrative and going to work for the Sacramento Honeybee. Dave Tusky is confused when his accomplice Bill Armstrong lets him know he is stopping manslaughter, and moving over to the misrepresentation office. Over the course of this time, the Zodiac has been quiet. At the point when Graysmith's significant other Melanie, Chloe Sevigny, makes reference to all the Zodiac stuff he's gathered throughout the long term, Robert visits Paul, and informs him concerning needing to compose a book about the Zodiac. In any case, Robert's expectations are run when Paul lets him know that he no longer has any of his stuff on the executioner, and chastens the inquisitive man. Robert next asks Dave Tusky. However, Tusky claims he can't help Robert. He unobtrusively advises him to ask Ken Narlow in Napa. Narlow permits Robert to glance through the Napa police's proof looking into the issue Darlene Ferrin and Mike Mago. Robert then tells Tusky that Darlene appeared to have various admirers, and it is conceivable that the individual is the Zodiac might have been one of them. Besides, there were dubious calls with weighty breathing on the line, made to some of Darlene's relations on the night she was killed, further causing Graysmith to accept the executioner knew her. Robert claims he really wants to track down Darlene's sister, yet Tusky additionally prescribes he ask Melvin Belly. Robert visits the attorney, and in a fascinating conversation with one of his servants, is educated that the Zodiac conversed with her. Mr. Belly was not home, and the Zodiac informed the servant that he needed to kill, since it was his birthday that day. This proof permits Robert to limit the dates to December 18th through the 20th, and keeping in mind that Tusky suggests he check the division of equity for data, he doesn't get a lot of help. It is before long that Robert gets a call at home from that the Zodiac's genuine man name is Rick Marshall, and a man named Sway Vaughn has film canisters with proof appearance Rick is the Zodiac. Robert additionally goes to converse with Sherwood Morrill about fingerprints and penmanship tests. During the discussion, Sherwood tells how a man named Wallace Penny, let him know a man named Rick Marshall was the Zodiac, stunning Robert that the one who called him likewise addressed Sherwood. Back at the SFPD, Tusky is brought in when the office accepts their first Zodiac letter in quite a while. In any case, some accept that Tusky manufactured the letter, and the doubts lead to him being dismissed from the crime division. Robert endeavors to address Tusky, yet Dave won't respond to any inquiries regarding Rick Marshall. Robert then, at that point, goes up to Napa and talks with Ken Narlow. Narlow tells how he had talked with Rick Marshall yet was always unable to get fingerprints of penmanship tests from him. Expecting to find Marshall, Robert calls up Morrill and gets the quantity of Wallace penny. Wallace sends Robert one of the banners he guarantees Rick drew for a quiet film house. Morrill inspects it and sees a few little likenesses to Zodiac, yet needs more data to survey. At this point, the case has consumed Robert's life. He loses his position at the Annal, and his better half takes the children and leaves, unfortunate that the Zodiac might focus on their loved ones. Somebody has additionally been calling Robert's telephone number, breathing intensely, and hanging up. Robert keeps attempting to find Darlene Ferrin's sister Linda for help, yet additionally asks Wee Vaughn for help. Vaughn knew Rick Marshall as a theater projectionist quite some time ago, however when Robert specifies the banners, they are glancing through for proof. Bounce guarantees that he drew every one of the banners, not Rick. Robert rapidly leaves the premises, uncertain what to think now. Robert not long after goes to visit Darlene's sister Linda, who is in jail. Robert gets some information about a painting party that he knew about, where there was a man who was causing Darlene to feel uncomfortable. Robert is persuaded this was Rick Marshall, however Linda claims it was anything but an individual named Rick. It was some man named Lee. Robert is persuaded that this is Arthur Lee Allen, and rapidly hurries to Tusky's spot around midnight to tell him, and the previous murder investigator at last yields for a gathering. The two go to a supper, where Robert brings up various things that could connect Arthur to the Zodiac, however Tusky guarantees the sum total of what he has is incidental proof. Some even thought that the Zodiac was somebody Darlene might have known, and Arthur resided near her business environment. However, Tusky claims he can't demonstrate any of what Robert has uncovered. He urges him to complete his book on the Zodiac. The time then slices to December of 1983. Robert strolls into a home improvement shop in Vallejo and wins up eye to eye with Arthur Lee Allen. No words are traded before Graysmith exits the store. After 8 years, in 1991, Mike Mago meets with the specialists and is shown various mugshots. At the point when he is addressed on which of the men could in all probability be the Zodiac, he brings up Arthur Lee Allen. In the end credits, we are given the accompanying data. 1. Arthur Lee Allen passed on from coronary failure in 1992, preceding he could be addressed further by the police. A DNA test led in 2002 didn't match a fractional example accumulated from one of the Zodiac letters. 2. Dave Tusky resigned from the San Francisco Police Division in 1989 and was subsequently found not guilty, that he had fashioned the 1978 Zodiac letter. 3. Paul Avery died in December of 2000, from pneumonic emphysema. 4. Robert Graysmith actually lives in San Francisco with his kids. The baffling calls he got, additionally finished around the very time that Allen passed on.
Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing.